we often talk about people having ethical intentions. Can a company also have an ethical intention? Do you have to be greedy and selfish to be an entrepreneur? What are the intentions of entrepreneurs? What are the intentions of entrepreneurs starting up a company? Which companies will prosper in this new century? During the Industrial Revolution, it was a motto that you have to make most money at any cost. In the last century, we started to care about charitable giving by corporations. I'm going to demonstrate today that we are at a turning point, that in order to prosper in this century, a company has to be based on ethical, truthful, positive intentions. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I started my first company already while at Harvard together with my brother, and I think I developed an addiction for entrepreneurship. We produced concerts for people like Madonna, Elton John, built cinemas, distributed films for Walt Disney Company. We established over 26 companies, good companies, created over 2,000 jobs. But more and more, I found myself at different meetings and listening to people talking about bigger and bigger, more money, faster, and it just didn't work anymore. Then, 5 years ago, I lost my mother. And I really thought, who am I? We are here for such a limited amount of time. What am I doing here? What's my intention in life? And I went on to study different philosophies, Buddhist, New Age, spiritual, went on trips, participated in ceremonies, and I think I came to a realization that happiness means not wanting anything, being happy with what you have. So I actually lost all motivation. I swore I will not establish another company. I just thought I'll chill out, I'll meditate, I'll windsurf for personal pleasure. Or you could detach yourself, you could go to a cave up in a mountain. But is that my intention to live? Is that why I'm here? Seeing all this suffering, injustice in the world, it didn't make sense. So I started to explore what I've been doing. I've been creating positive emotions for others with all of those companies in the past. And I realized that my calling, my true calling, has really been to tell stories, to really take true stories from life and bring them in front of people so they can relate to each other better. But why do even that? Is it fame? Is it money? I was still confused until something crazy happened to me at Cannes Film Festival. I met the French producer, I was introduced, and the first thing he says is, you have to meet the Oracle. At that point I was thinking, okay, is he going to ask next that do I have to take the red or the blue pill? Well, next day I had a personal, private audience with the Nechung Oracle, the Oracle of Dalai Lama. And I asked him, why are you here at this glamorous, crazy, glitzy film festival? And he said something that made so much sense. I'm here because film is a powerful medium, and you can do a lot of good or a lot of bad with it. And that put everything into perspective of what I want to do, what I need to do. So then I went on a journey. I directed a concert film and a documentary for Robbie Williams. I lobbied for equal partnership rights law for Estonia to become the first post-Soviet country with an equal rights law. I went to the mountains of Tibet and followed a young monk around, which grew into the film Tashi Delek. And it made me grow as a person. It really made me understand that you don't need to travel to the Himalayas to find yourself. And it empowered me as a filmmaker. So now I'm on a new adventure. It's a forbidden love story called The Firebird, about a young conscript who is serving the last month of his military military conscription time in 1978 Soviet Estonia, and who falls in love with his superior officer, Roman. And we are now casting, financing, that would be a subject for another TEDx talk, back in doing again what I used to do, what I loved, and what I love again, for a totally new reason. And thanks to the Firebird, I met Tom Pryor, and we became co-writers, and he introduced me to an idea which he came up with while shooting as an actor on a movie called Kingsman Secret Service. So now I'm again a co-founder of an amazing new global IT company, even though 5 years ago I swore that I will never ever do again any business. It's a free platform for film recommendations by professional filmmakers, like sitting down with a movie star who tells you what film to watch and why. Kind of a little bit like TEDx, that you're sharing knowledge with other people. And everyone kept telling us, wow, this is a cool idea, you should now go and raise a couple of $1 million and go fast to the market and expand to as many countries as possible. And we were like, stop, this doesn't feel right. Why are we doing this? And we realized that it's not profit that matters in this, it's sharing of knowledge. It's changing the way that people discover little films that maybe didn't have the marketing budget, never had the exposure, but deserve to be seen, the stories that deserve to be told. So we decided to proceed differently. Instead of hiring a huge staff and burning a lot of cash, we actually went and recruited volunteers. We have now 12 people working for us in Malta, Portugal, France, England, Estonia, America. And it's amazing because there's a totally different balance of relations, of chemistry. There's a totally different respect when everybody gives their free time to make an idea happen. And we decided to establish the Film App Foundation to give back half of any money that we will ever make, and to give that specifically to first-time filmmakers, actors, producers, directors, to help them realize their dreams. And that feels good. It's a business, but its intentions, I believe, are truthful, ethical, and positive. And skeptics asked me, well, how will you get this financed? Well, remains to be seen. It's a work in progress. Probably in a year's time I can tell you exactly, but I'm absolutely sure that there are investors who also share the vision, who invest in companies. I've already met some of them, who invest in social impact companies. So if you want to join us, let me know. And what do I mean by positive, ethical intentions? And by the way, that joining bit was not a joke. We are really looking for cool people, especially as CEO. The first thing that I can think of is not hurting others. Being truly compassionate in your decision-making process. Second, creating positive social impact for all stakeholders involved, for your employees, staff, for your clients, for your partners, for your community, for the culture, for the education, for the environment, weighing the different impact of your decisions, and being really, really truthful about your intention, not lying to yourself, not having it just as a declaration on paper to satisfy some kind of new fad in the corporate world. But since we are so conditioned by the way we were brought up, by the society, by our parents, by the teachers, you really need to question your intentions. You need to question everything to be sure that it's not that somebody has told you this is so, this is right, this is wrong, but that it's really your true inner feeling from the bottom of your heart. So going back to the wider world, I then also tried to apply this thinking, this new way of thinking in my investing strategy. So I met some bankers in London, and I asked them for advice. I'd like to invest in ethical companies. And they looked at me strangely and said, well, most of our clients never ask this. They just ask us to maximize their return on investment. And then they told me about something called the Vice Index Fund, which actually invests into guns, pharmaceuticals, tobacco, and every other evil kind of vice you can think of. And it's very profitable. And I was honestly appalled by the idea. So I Googled what percentage of investment funds actually follow ethical, or some sort of ethical standards at least. What do you think? 0.5% of investment funds in the world, according to Google. But I knew that such companies exist because also consumers are becoming more and more aware, and they are voting with their money, and I believe truly that ethical companies with positive intentions also create positive long-term loyalty. So I'd like to share with you some of these companies which have inspired us, companies which share similar core values. First, a company founded by Blake Mitsosky, Tom's, which has a really interesting ethos of one for one. Every pair of shoes, glasses, etc. that you buy, they donate one to a child in need in a developing country. Or Bellew, a water company founded by filmmaker Rebane, that makes bottles from old firefighters' water hoses that actually gives all of its profits, obviously after financing costs and overhead, to WaterAid, so that people, again, who don't have access to clean water would have. Or Participant Films, one of my absolute role models, established by eBay co-founder Jeff Skoll. He's produced Spotlight, he named him Malala and Inconvenient Truth. Amazing films, won 11 Academy Awards. A great example of how you can be financially sustainable while creating awareness as a company. And there's even at least one country in the world. I just returned last week from Bhutan and had the amazing experience of having lunch with the former queen, the current king mother. And it's a country which really has set the positive intention of measuring progress according to 9 categories, one of which is living standards. So instead of measuring gross national product, they are measuring gross national happiness. So, in summary, I believe there is solid proof that entrepreneurship with positive, ethical, truthful intentions works. I think when you give, you also get back. It is financeable, it is sustainable. It might be scary at first, but it's okay to be afraid. It's scary to throw away everything you've been taught in your life, like myself, over the years, of maximizing shareholder profits, of this is right, this is wrong. But I believe it's possible. I can see it's possible. You just have to make sure that your own personal intention is truthful, that your company's intention is 100% truthful. And I believe that anybody can do it. You can do it. Politicians tell us that change takes years, that change takes time. I don't believe that. Do you? What is society? Is it not me and you and you and you? And if we change our thinking right now, if you make one little change in your thinking, doesn't society change immediately, instantly? Why do you need years to think about it? So I'd like to ask you, Do you ever ask yourself, what's your intention to make money? And I'd like you to close your eyes for a second, for a little moment, and think about your life. What's your true intention? Are your actions in line with that intention? Are you absolutely honest to yourself that this is what you want? If not, why not try to change something? Think of one little thing that you could change today, right now. It's your choice. Could be surprised at what happens in your life. So, that day at Cannes Film Festival, I asked the Oracle one more question. What can I do to change the world? And he chuckled and laughed a bit. And then he replied to me, "You cannot change the world. You can only change yourself." Thank you.